All right, welcome to everyone watching our yearly film series for 2021. Right now, Corey, Doug, and myself, Murph, is going to pick one film from 2021 that we found particularly memorable. We'll talk about it, why we found it memorable, things like that. And then after that, we'll talk about some other films from the year that were shouted out by listeners. All right. Corey, you want to get straight into your film?
Yeah, I actually pivoted away from what I was originally gonna do. I completely forgot about this movie, but I really enjoyed it. It's a horror film, uh, indie film called the Djinn.
What?
Um, the Djinn, DJ,
GI.
yeah, DJINN, the Djinn.
Basically
Got
a
it.
genie, right?
Yeah, basically. This so this movie was incredibly unique because the whole movie takes place in an apartment. It follows a kid who's a mute. He lives with his dad, and he finds in the apartment a it's not really a gene like a he finds some type of artifact that, and then he wishes that he could hear, that whole thing, and he summons a monster in his apartment. And his dad goes to work, he works nights, and when his dad goes to work, then things start to get like really crazy. And basically this monster fulfills his wishes, but is obviously going to take something from him, in return. And the music of the movie is really cool because it's very similar to like an 80s horror action movie where it's like all synthesizers and stuff like that. Um, the way the movie was shot was really, really cool, especially because there was very little dialogue that happened throughout the entire film. There was a little bit in the beginning with sign language because, with the father, that's how he communicated. Um, but a lot of the movie didn't have any dialogue, so like the tension was built visually with a lot of the things that was going on with how everything was cutting in the movie and just with lighting. And it was incredibly interesting. And for how short it was, it really built the tension up until the end. I think it was only like 90 minutes, if I remember correctly. An hour and 22 minutes. So the movie it doesn't have very many like twists and turns, but it does a good job of building like that neat tension that horror movies do. Um, so I actually would recommend, if anyone has seen it or has heard of it, to check it out. I think it's on. I'm trying to think where I saw it. I think I saw it on Hulu or Shutter, but really good. And the
Nice.
the child actor was especially eh, like just fantastic. He was really 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 good in the movie. Stole the show for sure. Um, I feel like there was one actor in this movie that you two might know. Played the father. Um, Rob Brownstein. He was in. Well, I don't think either one of you watched Star Trek Discovery, but he was
No.
in that. He was in like Straight Outta Compton. Um, there was definitely something else I remember him being in, but yeah, he's a TV actor, so bunch. Maybe that's where I saw him from. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, the yeah, he was in like Castle, Bosch, so like a bunch of TV shows. But this was like definitely a highlight for me for even the year. I just completely forgot about it because I watched it so long ago. So that's
All
my
right.
pick.
So it's one that you'd recommend for people to check out.
Yeah, easy watch too, not very long, and spooky.
That's always good. All right. Yeah, we'll continue the spooky theme for today. All three of us picked horror-related movies. Doug, you want to go to yours? Which all three of us have seen this one.
Yeah, I picked Malignant. Um, Not necessarily because it was the best movie that I've seen in 2021, because it's definitely not, but
It's
it wins the
memorable.
award.
It is.
Yeah, it wins the award for the most batshit crazy movie I saw in 2021. Um, this movie was just bonkers.
It was.
Yeah, just that what always sticks out in my mind is that police station scene where Gabriel takes over and
Yeah,
just freaking brutally kills tons of police officers. It's just bonkers. The whole movie's bonkers. I'm not really sure what not really sure what they were going for with this movie, but I was very entertained with the direction that the movie went in. It was almost, when we're talking about spooky and horror, like it wasn't really that spooky, or it didn't really have that much of a horror vibe. It was more just like an 80s slasher type of feel. Mixed
definitely
with
has
like
the
some
slasher
crazy
feel to
action.
it. The electronic music lends itself to that '80s feel that you were talking about, like
Mhm.
synthesizers. Um, but
Yeah.
it still has like that like creepy like elements of like more of the like ghost house type horror movies that others like that James Wan has done. It was like a weird fucking mad scientist version of a horror movie of
Mhm.
like the past 20 years plus '80s.
Yeah, it
And it
was
was very unique too. Like it was a uniquely written character and
Oh
monster.
yeah, unique is like definitely the word for this movie.
For sure.
If you could put my review in quotes, it would be like unique,
Unique AF.
different,
Yeah. All right.
original.
Um, yeah, is it one you'd go back and watch again, you think, ever? Or was it one and done?
I would watch that police station thing again where Gabriel just like slaughters everybody.
The most ridiculous action scene of the year. All right.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
crazy.
I also went with like a batshit crazy movie. I went with Old, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. It was probably the most fun I had at a movie theater outside of like in 2021, outside of like the Marvel, like outside of Spider-Man, where you know the
Mhm.
crowd is going to be insane going into it because the movie's like designed that way. Um, but this one is just so ridiculous. It's the one where people are on an island and they age rapidly. Um, and man, it is like similar to how I was talking about Michael Bay in Ambulance in our main episode this week. Um, like he just knows like, he has his own vision and it's so clear and that his vision includes some weird humor. Michael Bay does it and like Shyamalan does it. Um, and yeah, it is front and center in this film. Weird body horror, um, just creepy concept, and overall highly entertaining. I haven't seen it since theaters, but it's one I would definitely watch again. I've considered purchasing it when I see the 4K every once in a while when I go into Best Buy. Um, I haven't done it yet. Have either you, Doug? Did you ever see it? Because this was a
Yeah,
theaters only. Oh, you did see it. Okay.
yeah. I
I
bought it when it was like $4.99 or $10 or something. I bought it like when I was gonna be on like I knew I was gonna be flying, and so I bought it and watched it on the plane.
I don't think you ever
Um,
told us this. What did you think of it?
some weird M Night Shyamalan movie. I don't know. It was.
Yeah.
I don't know that I needed the. So the most ridiculous part of it, or the. I mean, it's all freaking ridiculous. I mean, the screenplay just was goofy.
Yes.
There's it's just a very goofy movie. There was a lot of goofy moments throughout the movie. Um, with like the woman with the calcium deficiency
Uh
or whatever.
huh.
She was her whole like death scene was kind of weird and goofy, and the big reveal about what was really going on with the island. I don't know that you needed that. I think they could have just left it a mystery. I think
the ending was the ending was the weakest part of the movie for me.
Yeah, I didn't care for the ending at all. I thought that wasn't good.
I don't know. It was a weird movie. I thought the script or screenplay was laughably bad at parts. It's an interesting idea. I just thought the execution could have been better. I think was my overall feedback. When you said you really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun in the theater, it made me think that maybe you're missing something watching it on your computer on an airplane versus in a theater.
Yeah, it's definitely something that plays better with the crowd.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like an opening weekend crowd. It was like a middle of the week crowd, and it still was like had enough people where it was like more enjoyable seeing it in the theater. All right. Shall we get into the additional picks that were sent in?
Yeah.
Typically, this is where I would ask JP if there's a movie I'm not aware of. Corey, you've probably seen it. What is Love Hard?
I'm trying to remember what this one was about. I actually didn't watch this one. It's a Netflix movie.
All right, so here's the synopsis. I'll play the JP for this one. A girl, unlucky in love, falls for an East Coast guy on a dating app and decides to surprise him for the holidays, only to discover that she's been catfished. This lighthearted romantic comedy chronicles her attempt to reel in love. So,
thank you for playing JP.
Nina
Dobrev
in it.
Who's in it? Nina Dobrev.
Nina Dobrev.
Jimmy Yang and Darren Barnett. I don't know who any of these people are.
Nina Dobrev is from Vampire Diaries.
Jimmy O Yang is from Silicon Valley. I don't know the other person.
Darren Barnett is probably the guy that she thought she was going to be with. And Jimmy Yang is the guy that she got. I don't know. I don't know why we're making like romantic comedies out of getting catfished, but
yeah, it's like a shitty experience for anyone who's dealt with it, or at least it should be a shitty experience. If it turns into a good one, cool. But all right, what else we got on the list? The French Dispatch. These are all from Kate, by the way, these 4 picks. The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson's latest film. Corey and I saw it with Kate. I thought it was one of the weaker Wes Anderson movies, and Corey, you liked it a lot more than I did.
Yeah,
so if you want to talk about it.
I still think it's... I think I agree with you that it's one of his weakest. I don't know if it is his weakest, but it's definitely one of his weakest. But I definitely enjoyed it. The way that, if everyone doesn't know, but the way that this movie is kind of structured is it's different tales in one movie from the perspective of each journalist that works for the French Dispatch, like different stories that they wrote, articles. And for me, there were some that were really strong, and then there were like some that were not, and maybe like 1 or 2 that were just okay. So I think like in the end, it was just like okay to me, but it definitely fell a little short of his other movies. Grand Budapest Hotel is my personal favorite of his. So that and the Royal Tenenbaums, like those. So just for a basis.
Reference.
Yeah.
Another film that was definitely one of the weaker of the director's filmography, but still one I liked quite a bit, was on here is Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's latest. So, like, yes, this wasn't as good as like his ones with Simon Pegg, or even Baby Driver, but it was still an entertaining thriller with Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, dealing with a little bit of time travel, which is always fun. A lot of hallucination-y type experiences. But yeah, it's mildly creepy, entertaining throughout. It's an Edgar Wright film where there's a lot you pick up on multiple viewings, which is always cool. But yeah, it was definitely one I think all three of us would recommend. I think a couple of you might have even had it in your top 10 for the year.
This is one that I definitely think is better on repeat viewings. I'm trying to remember if I watched it 3 times now or just twice, at least twice. And I enjoyed it a lot more the second time than I did the first. I enjoyed it a lot the first time, but I definitely enjoyed it more the second time around.
Yeah. I haven't watched it the second time. I agree it's probably one of Edgar Wright's weaker movies, but it's still really good. I think Edgar Wright just has
really strong.
Has a really good track record and has made good movies. But I still found this movie enjoyable. I thought the cinematography was awesome. And I think this was Diana Rigg's last performance.
That it was.
She passed away. I thought she did a good job as the creepy lady.
Yeah, who owned the home that Thomasin McKenzie rents out of.
Yeah.
All right, and then Kate's last pick was Red Rocket. It was Sean Baker's latest film with Simon Rex. It's the one where he's playing an ex-porn star who's down on his luck and moves in with his ex-wife. And it's kind of like following days in the life of this guy. Who's kind of a pretty shitty person, but he's kind of like a mesmerizing person to watch at the same time, getting into all his ridiculous situations. Corey and I both saw this one together, and both came out and having enjoyed it. Corey didn't even know what he was getting himself into when he saw this one. It's definitely not for everyone, but if you can deal with scuzzy characters and following them for an entire film, you'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it again. Like this one, I enjoyed a lot. The second time around too, when we watched it, when I watched it with Kate. But the characters are definitely like scuzzy and just not great characters, not great people. But they were very interesting to watch, and the way that the movie was shot was really, really cool. Actually, still want to. I want to watch his other films. I haven't gotten around to yet.
Totally. Yeah, check out Florida Project. All right. And then Derek had 3 picks. He sent in Spider-Man No Way Home and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings were the 2 Marvel movies. 2 of the 4 Marvel movies that came out last year. I think we all loved No Way Home. And I think... Doug, were you the only one to put Shang-Chi on your top 10?
It's possible. I
think
don't
you
remember
were.
If I had it on my top 10.
I think you were, and
I enjoyed it.
And it was oh, yeah, you might have taken it out last minute. It was definitely close for me. Maybe Corey would put it in. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, we both liked both these movies a whole lot. Shang-Chi, I thought was the best solo origin story for a Marvel movie since Iron Man. Spider-Man No Way Home was one of the best sequels in the MCU. Outside for me, like a couple of the Avengers sequels and a couple Captain America sequels. And so it was probably like my 5th favorite of the sequels, I would say. Maybe 4th. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much more memorable than Spider-Man No Way Home. Seeing that in a movie theater with the crowds just going nuts with Andrew Garfield appearing, Tobey Maguire appearing, etc. And then his last pick was Halloween Kills. Evil Dies Tonight.
This was a weird one to see in theaters.
A weird one, and it's been fun to talk about ever since because it's so fucking ridiculous.
It is such a weird film. I haven't actually rewatched this. I need to.
I watched it on Peacock once.
Yeah.
Still weird. But I'm looking forward. It was definitely like a fucking filler stopgap film that they made because they're like, all right, we're turning this to a trilogy. but I don't know, it's fun in its own bad way, and I'm still looking forward to Halloween Ends later this year.
Yeah, agreed.
All
Still
right.
haven't seen this movie.
Well, if you
It's on
didn't see the
HBO
previous,
Max, I think.
is it? Did you see
I've
the
seen it
previous
on
one?
HBO Max. Nope.
All right, then there's no reason to see this one.
I've seen the
Um,
original Halloween.
Get your hands
Okay.
off my lobby boy. You just have to throw
But
that up there.
if you skip the previous one from 2018, there's no point in watching this one, even if you've seen the original.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it. That is 2021 in a nutshell. So since we are only in April of 2022, we will see you next year for summing up our yearly film series for 2022. Thanks for watching, guys and gals.
Bye.
If there's any